So this is what we all know. We all know that this is really messy. We really know that this is uncomfortable. We all know that this is stressful. And the purpose of our 45 minutes here today is to try to share ideas and strategies, not so much to have everybody talk about all the details of like how they're of what their school system is putting out to them. If that can be encompassed in what you're sharing, that's fine. But we're looking to sort of limit 2 minutes, each of you to 2 minutes to be able to share. It's really my hope that when you leave here, you might feel a little better than you did when you came on. That you might have an idea about something and a way to handle something just because we're sharing or trying to share these ideas. I would ask you to be on mute if you're not talking. Lynn and Becky are going to monitor and call on people. So if you would raise your hand either physically or use the hand raising device on your Zoom. And you do not need to sign in here today. So there's nothing available here. This is a sharing session. So with those guidelines, I'd like to let you get started and share, but really try to focus on ideas that you have and questions that you might have. So I'm going to go ahead and Lynn, you and Becky are up, and I'll keep letting people in.
Well, thank you, Deb, for that. And I'm Lindy Agostino, a Mayford board member. Becky is also a board member, and we're also on the advocacy committee. So we're here obviously to support each other. So I like that, strategies and ideas. Anybody want to get us going? Well, let's take day one. Let's go to day one and with kids. How about that? Day one with kids. What might it look like?
Oh, somebody.
Thanks, Lee. Go for it.
If everybody else could be on mute, that would be great. Lee, go ahead.
So my school has decided that all specialists are going to be remote. Kids will go during the morning and specialists will be remote only. So I am doing this sharing with hopes of getting ideas for remote, especially in the winter. You know, kids can't be outside as much. So I don't have much to share about being with kids, but I am looking for ideas for all remote learning.
Thanks, Lee. Is anybody else definitely in remote mode? Like Lee? Is that Jamie?
Yeah, I am as well. We were just told that specials are remote only. Yeah. So I'm here just trying to figure out what that will look like PE wise. I've been told we're being zoomed into classrooms with an ed tech being there to run the Zoom, and we're going to only have 25 minutes because then another special is going to be piggybacked off of us to give the teachers their prep time of a full hour.
That's a very nice smile you have with that prep suggestion. We are all understanding of that. So Megan, want to add to that?
I'm also all remote. We have a hybrid, which the kids are coming twice a week for half a day. So all specialists are remote. And we're going, the first trimester, PE is doing K to 2, second semester 3 to 5, and then third semester 6 to 8. So the specialists, all the specialists are rotating.
Is that to keep your exposure? Well, you're remote. It wouldn't be exposure, I guess.
I think that's to not overwhelm the parents with all the specialists as well as the remote learning and the in-class learning.
Becky, did you want to add something?
Well, I was just curious if that was the same situation for you, Lee, that you're actually, it sounds like, Jamie, you are actually teaching live from a remote location. So
Yeah.
the kids will be in the classroom and you're teaching a lesson. Is that the same for you, Lee and Megan?
So I'll know for sure. I'll know for sure this afternoon, but my belief is that kids will go home and do their specials.
So it's asynchronous for you.
Yeah, just like it was this spring.
Right.
That's how, they don't recommend doing live, just for, I don't think the union recommends doing live, just because things could happen, I guess. But we are going to, I'm thinking of having a virtual classroom and putting videos in, linking videos into that virtual classroom that they can see at home.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Megan, that's what I'm planning on doing because we also have to not only prepare for a Zoom in class, but also for our kids who are at home who are not coming back to school. So I'm going to have both and see how it goes.
Well, the other thing, Jamie, with our DA in Brunswick, I'm in Brunswick, we've been talking that, like you, if we have that 20 minutes live, that we would just give them an explanation snippet and answer questions that they may have. So when they go remotely on their own, they can take a look at my video, your video, demonstration directions, and get a clear understanding of exactly how to do it.
Yeah, I'm also health for my elementary school. So my goal is to try to do something that they can do in their space, at least movement wise, to get up and just, whether it's chair yoga or, just something in their space. And then I will mention my virtual classroom for, soccer skills or about, whatever will be, whatever I'll supplement on the virtual that they can work on at home after school. And then spend the rest of my time focusing on just a quick health lesson. So, I mean, for my mental health, that's what I tried to put together.
Is that Wes?
Hi there, Wes Rames. I teach 4 through 8 at Shapley School in Kittery, and the guidance that I've been given, I've talked to Deb about this via email. I'm not allowed to use the gym, period, for the entire year. I asked, what am I supposed to be doing in mid-January? And she said, well, we have snowshoes, and like, yay. Anyway, my concern, and one of the things that I was hoping to see how you guys were handling this is even outdoors, the CDC guidelines are 6 feet away with masks, and I was told 14 feet without. My concern is that I'm nervous to do anything other than like fitness and stuff like that, because if I try to do soccer skills, for example, try to keep a 4th grader from stealing a ball from another 4th grader. You know what I mean? Like, I'm worried about keeping kids safe and also not exposing myself if somebody was to get sick. I wish I had things that I could tell you guys I was doing. I'm mainly coming here because I'm scared out of my mind as to what I'm supposed to be doing. So anyway, that's my piece, and I hope you guys have wonderful ideas and you totally changed my school year. Thank you.
So I'm in a situation that sounds a little worse than you guys. For my school, I'm in a pre-K 8 school. I teach PE for all grades in middle school health. And we're being reassigned to be helpers somewhere else. That has not been told what we're doing yet. On Wednesdays, all the specialists are supposed to be delivering remotely pre-K through, like for me, I'm supposed to be delivering remotely on one day of the week, pre-K to 8 PE and health. And the other 4 days, I'm going to be a mask monitor or whatever they ask me to do. I don't have a good plan besides stomping my feet and crying. I'm just not sure what to do because obviously I can't deliver quality PE and health one day a week while sharing the time with art, music, foreign language at the same time. So I was hoping that the state would, the state organization would be having some advocacy, perhaps through local media, etc. I have no strength as an individual within my school system, but if there are multiple school systems that are being reassigned within the state, I know at least my neighboring school is, if there'd be some strength in numbers.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Thank you, Timmy. Is there anyone else being reassigned that they know of?
I am. I'm at VZ Community School, and I just found out that on Monday, the school is not having any specials, and I'm being reassigned to teaching pre-K.
Oh.
Yeah. Alongside with the pre-K teacher, so I'm not going in blindly, but it's a little disappointing. At least right now, there's no specials. I think until we as a school can get our feet underground, our head above ground or whatever, just trying to help these kids come back to this is what school is now. So for right now, there's no specials, and I'm teaching pre-K alongside with the pre-K teacher. So I feel you, Tim.
And who was that? It says Mrs. Doherty? Is that who that is?
Abby Doherty.
At VZ? Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. And Tim, where are you?
I'm at Dedham.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
The story in this area is there's a group of superintendents that have been meeting regularly and have, so that there are several teachers in our area that are in this same situation.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
And Deb, I think Dana mentioned he was in that situation in Gray New Gloucester, the last advocacy meeting.
And I think he's on here. Dana, are you on here? Okay. I will do some research and we'll see what we can do to help in that situation. Absolutely.
Is there anyone like me who has no idea what they're doing yet? Yeah. So Tim, I think that it's possible, Mrs. Doherty, that some of us who have no idea, I just have this feeling that we will become, or I will become, the substitute / lunch break person / and keep us all in the building, because there was some talk about how do we keep those of us filling in reassignments as on a cohort. So I have a feeling that some of us won't be far behind you guys.
I saw that Annie had her hand up.
Annie?
Hi, good morning. I'm Annie Nixon. I teach at CTL in Edgecombe. It's a private school for K through 8. I teach KA PE. And my question is, can you guys help me with the regulations for Maine? Like, so I just heard, is it Wes say that for PE outside, students have to have a mask on if they're 6 feet away and 14 feet away if without a mask? Because the physician, Dr. Fader, who's like consulting with our school, he was saying that that we're allowed to use a shared object as long as the children are washing hands prior to the activity, and then we sanitize the shared object, and then they wash hands post-activity. And students wouldn't need to have a mask on for, say, like Foursquare or a variation of soccer or things like that. So that's the consulting physician gave us that information. Can you guys tell me, am I missing something that the state of Maine has put out?
I can say, I don't know if you haven't seen, there's a pre-K to 12 adult public health guidance document, and I will forward that to all of you. There's a section on physical education near the end of it that it does talk about the space distance of 14 feet or 6 feet, wearing masks, etc. So I will forward that to everybody when we're done here this morning. If you haven't seen that document, it's probably on the DOE website, but I will forward it as well.
Yes, MDOE sent that out, and I think Susan Berry sent a follow-up with that as well.
I think so.
Jenny, yeah. I'd like to get back to Wes's conundrum and perhaps some strategies. I am hoping I'm in person. I'm going to go stations. I'm going to try to stay away from competition, knowing that my 4th graders are going to try to tackle for soccer. But first of all, I think we have to be very deliberate. My first week or whatever time I have with them, because the schedule will be different, is a total how we're going to do this and explain totally to the kids up front. This isn't going to look like the PE you knew in the past. And in order to keep people safe, this is how it's going to be. Yes, you may not be happy. It may not be as much fun, but this is how we're going to try and keep active. So I'm a Italian. Anybody Italian out there? The Italians are just going to tell it like it is. And
That's basically what my plan was. Basically, day one, Probably they're 30-minute classes I'm embedded with the fourth graders, which is good because I'll get the kids that are just coming into our building to start the year and kind of try to set the tone with them. But we probably won't do much on day one because it's going to be all rules and expectations and basically saying exactly what you just said. And it's just going to be managing expectations, trying to make it as enjoyable as possible. But the reality of the matter is that during COVID, we are moving to a fitness-based model. That's just the way it has to be. You know what I mean? That's basically the way I think I'm going to have to approach it. I mean, maybe you're talking, Annie, I think you're talking about how the kids can wash their hands. In our district, our principal told us kids have to wash their hands, then you have to give them gloves, then they can share equipment, then it needs to be sanitized, gloves need to be thrown away, hands need to be washed. You know, I might do things like passing skills, maybe playing pass with soccer balls, but like there just can't be any competition because kids won't stay away from one another. So it has to be heavily fitness-based, fitness tests, stuff like that, trying to encourage kids to, you know, set goals and attain those goals.
Annie, did you want to add to that?
Yeah, I put out on Facebook, there's like an elementary PE Facebook group, and I said, hey, what do you guys think about gloves? And it came back with a lot of recommendations, and there's apparently some science behind gloves not being safe.
Right.
Maybe someone else could speak to that.
Yeah, no, Emily?
Is the gloves a district by district thing? Because we were just told yesterday, we weren't told to get their gloves. If you look under those guidelines, they can share equipment in their class, but you have to wash their hands before and after and sanitize the equipment. But there was nothing about gloves, both in my district or on that document. So I don't know if that's a district thing.
It is a district thing, and I have to have some serious conversations with my building administrator because I've been in contact with Kelly Torr, who is the elementary school teacher, and Donnie Gagnon, who's the high school teacher, and they're being told in their schools that they can both share equipment without gloves and they can use their gyms. But for some reason, I at the middle school cannot use my gym. So there needs to be some conversations because some things are sounding pretty screwy.
I'm sorry, Press Morrison?
Rose, yeah.
Rose.
Rose.
At our school, at the Planet, the gym is available, so they've made the gym available for me. And the plan is that I'm going to go over the rules I'm thinking three, because we're gonna have to do three possibilities. We're supposed to go in person, but we're also gonna teach to hybrid, and we're also teaching to remote at the same time. And it's 4 days. And we're going to focus on one group at a time. So we're going to teach, say I have kindergarten, so I'll be teaching kindergarten for 10 to 12 lessons, and then do a rotation. So we're sticking with the same groupings. I teach K through 3. We've also requested, PE bags, so we made our own to purchase, so that we can give those out and use those as individual pieces of equipment. And you can use equipment, but just thinking about less of the equipment and equipment that you can easily spray and clean before the next class. The protocol is to wash your hands before they come in and before they leave, and take the time to wash. And if you're using a gym, you wash the floor. You have to stay 6 feet apart, and you still need the mask. I'm going to plan on going outside as much as possible. The classes are about 12, and I don't think that they're going to combine any other classes. I didn't get that. So I would probably be teaching 12, so I can spread those out enough. And I just got that that recommendation for the 14 feet, and you don't have to wear a mask at 14 feet. And that is, Susan just sent us an email, so that is in your email. It should be with all of this stuff. And I'm just gonna make them, we have to make them aware of whether, if they're gonna go remote, then we need to know what's gonna happen. And they're gonna give us remote times also. So the kids that are going remote, we're also going to be teaching remote, and they need to tune in at that time. So that didn't happen in the spring, but it's gonna happen this time. So we're pleased about that. I guess that's, and so I believe in station
Alicia.
2.
Whoops.
Rose, were you done? Were you done, Rose?
I'm all done, thank you.
So Annie, I just saw that you posted something about creating grids on the field. That's where my thinking is going right now, with a grid in the gym as well as outside. I think I might have 9 to 10 kids, that's all. I teach in Freeport, and we're splitting the classes. They go 2 days a week. Anyway, I just wanted to know if anybody else was thinking about grids and what that might look like.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, you know, spray paint. And of course, no one has answers for me, but I'd like to use spray paints. If anybody's seen Central Park, have you seen those pictures? Okay, Marcia's, that's a great way to do it. And someone said, well, how can we do stations if we can't share equipment? Well, in their Islands of Discovery, if you look at your chat, some folks are doing some great suggestions. The Islands of Discovery will be, for me, spray paint. Although I love that, I will make a name for Bobcats, so maybe it'll be Bobcat Dens. Get in your own Bobcat Dens, and I might have the station equipment for that person, and then I would just demonstrate, and they would do a station, and they wouldn't rotate, they would just use the equipment in their island and do a different skill with that equipment. The other thing I was discussing with a colleague is, so Wes and I are in the same cohort, we have PE together. Wes and I will always share the same equipment, even if it's just kicking back and forth. And apparently Annie's hearing this. Good for you, Annie, shaking her head yes. I can't be partners now with Jean or Annie. Wes is always gonna be my cohort buddy in PE. So even though we have cohorts, we try to make them a little smaller. So if you choose to try and be safe about sharing equipment, it's with the same cohort co-buddy. In the chat, there's a question about masks and whether people are going to have their kids moving with masks on. Thoughts on that? Wes?
Just going back to kind of covering myself and trying to keep kids safe. My guidance from admin is 6 feet outdoors, masks. And I don't feel like, even if I was say, like I do a 4th grade, I call it the fun run. It's a half-mile run, and we build up to it over the course of the first 2 months of school. I don't feel confident that I can guarantee that kids will stay 6 feet away from each other as we build up to that, you know, running half a lap, 3/4 of a lap, you know, moving up, because kids are going to be competitive. They're going to try to run by one another. They're all going to want to be in lane 1. So I feel as though I can't allow them, even doing something like that, to take off the masks. You know what I mean? Because God forbid somebody gets sick, or if a parent finds out, you know, that the kids are bumping into one another without masks. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to get in trouble, and I don't want anybody to get sick. What basically is the bottom line.
Marge?
Wes, if you took this station idea and we have 12 kids, hopefully, can we do that by one of the stations be a fitness running station? So where you'd have 2 kids and start at different ends of the field. And so that one of your stations would always be a fitness, and everybody would get some time into that.
That's a really good idea.
And then you can also manage the 14 feet. And when you're in fitness and running, you can actually take your mask off. If you only had 2 kids at a station or what have you. Portland hasn't made their decision as what they're doing at this point. It's looking like a hybrid. They spent a 6-hour workshop and canceled it cancel public comment at midnight last night, and they're reconvening today. But it actually is looking, I'm feeling really bad because part of their plan is to hire some art, music, and physical education FTEs to help with teaching physical education, art, and music within their schools, so that every school would have one specialist just to their buildings at this point. And two things that we did when it was all coming up is we went to our union. Portland has a very strong union to say art, music, and physical education, our specials, are not just for coverage. The social emotional learning that happens in these places, in these subject areas, are really, really important. And we ended up with a block schedule. It's looking like where we're seeing 2 grade levels at a time. And it's sounding like what the recommendation from the specialist happened to be is that we would be within our pod for a week before we started our specials, so that we could be in the classroom with the teachers to get that protocol set down, really thinking about our kids haven't been in school since March 13th, nor have the teachers, and can we ease them in to a half day? Portland is also going to 5-hour days if this hybrid model goes, and an AB day, where Monday and Thursdays, and then Tuesdays and Fridays, and Wednesday is a remote day. And as of right, and then we have remote learning for those students whose parents don't feel like they can send them to school at all. And my understanding is the remote person is going to be a different specialist at that time. But again, all that could change tonight. And we could go red completely, or we could all be in. Really hard to be all in because we can't meet the guidelines. So that's kind of where we are. But I think stations is one way we can get a little more fitness in than we want, than we need. I'm also thinking of our soccer goals to put up some hula hoops and make target practice when you're at that space. I'm also considering using my first class use soccer, my second class use golf, my third class be that way. That's a lot of equipment out there. Hopefully I can find some space to store it outside so I don't have to keep it in, but at least the cohort would rotate. And then the next week I would do the opposite. I'd teach, football, whatever. So I'd take our skills and do skills and drills with it. And again, really, I don't want to spend the entire time telling kids to put on masks. I don't want to spend that battle of I really want to get them physically fit. I really want them to get back being able to move. And however we do that with the relationships that we've developed, I think is the most important thing we can do.
I was gonna hop in real quick. First of all, I'm Mike Griswold. I teach K-5 at the Winthrop Grade School. And quick snapshot of what Winthrop's doing. We are 4 days in with everybody back, or at least to our physical capacity of the school. And Wednesday, of course, will be a remote day. And one of the things that our principal had talked with us about, which kind of really shaped my mindset, I don't know if I would call it relieving, but it's definitely something to put in perspective. And it's something that I related with Tim around, is we've been kind of advised the CE teachers, being music, art, PE, that we might not touch our subjects for the first couple of weeks, just so we can be those floating staff members to help get the routines and orientations for staggered drop-offs and helping kids get to the classrooms, like the whole 9 yards. But we are going to be in the classrooms the first week. And it's kind of more for just orientation, introductions, but it's really kind of shaped where I'm starting with my planning. And I'm really doing a lot of work on my online presence for 2 reasons. One is, obviously, if things change within a school where we're going to a completely remote model, we'll be ready for it. But also, 2, one of the things I'm really looking to try to do in the first week, if I have everybody in the classroom, is I'm going to be going over my website with every single kid. First of all, so they know where it is and how they can access it and how to navigate the page. So that if we do go to a remote model, I know out of the box, they've all been instructed how to do it. One of the things that I've been really watching closely, as I'm sure many of you, is of course what the MPA is doing with fall sports. I'm a huge advocate for fall sports if we feel that we can pull it off. But I'll tell you right now that if fall sports happen, I'll be one of the first people to start advocating PE should not be treated any differently than what fall sports are going to be allowed to do. So that is obviously to be seen. But, you know, in addition to just some of the online preps, you know, I had put down just some notes around from a programmatic standpoint of what I think I would try to do, which is, you know, obviously, if I can get kids to be on masks during PE, I would love to, because I think PE to some extent should be a respite from their mask. But given the guidelines, whether that is doing more disc golf, I have not done cardio drumming. That is something that I would really love to explore this year. Obviously doing a little bit more fitness related models, follow the leader type formats, whether that is purely some type of cardiovascular, but of course like dance and yoga, probably more like backyard games in there as well, with whether that is can jam or cornhole. But I'm also trying to really explore and really challenge myself to really accept the reality of I need to figure out how do I teach PE differently. And I really needed to work hard to move on. Like, I just can't do the same things that we've done before. So like health is definitely going to be part of it, whether that's helping to have kids do online journals, journaling their screen time, their physical activity in a day, how much sleep are they getting, identifying, you know, what are the barriers and also the influences on the decisions you make regarding your own healthy decisions. So that's really, you know, in a nutshell where I'm trying to go, and I just need to filter down like what kind of order does that go in, especially when we're being advised to be outside. With some of us who are on this, we kind of chatted separately around, well, being outside is great, but it is kind of concerning to say if we get some days like during the summer in September, that's a long day outside, you know, in the sun and staying hydrated. And I asked some questions to our administrative team around, will I be the only staff member out there? And the short answer was yes. So I said, well, if the school is locked and I need to get back in, kid needs to use the bathroom or anything that goes along with it, how do you want me to play that out? They said, well, you might just need to bring the whole classroom back into school. I said, perfect. Don't be that kid then. So, you know, there's definitely a lot of questions, but even some supplies that I'm looking at through the CARES Act was getting a Bluetooth portable speaker as well as a microphone, because I know I'm going to lose my voice hard in the first couple of weeks if I don't have those things. So again, that's just a snapshot. Of course, there's more of a laundry list I can go over, but hopefully that helps at least some as far as where they think they could start. I just spent last night like 3 or 4 hours creating. I was resistant to the idea at first, but I kind of rallied around it. It was kind of fun making, was at a bit emoji classroom. It's a little bit of a time suck, but I don't know, it looks pretty cool when you get done. So I'd be happy to, you know, outside this meeting time, if anybody wanted to go over like how can you really polish your online presence, because I think we're going to need to address that at some point in the school year.
Thanks, Mike. That was pretty thorough. And I think for those of you who have joined the NDOE conferences, workshops every week when we've been remote, there's a lot of information. I've seen questions about standards and how to be remote. What Michael's talking about is actually, if you go to the MDOE or even Mayford, there's a whole bunch of online sources that you can go to. So I'm with you, Mike. I think we have to combine both avenues together. It can't be traditional.
Lynn, this is Deb. We have about 9 minutes.
Okay, thank you. Simple things. How many people are going to be using Google Classroom? It could be a simple exit ticket. It could be that journal or a simple sentence after an in-person class. So Mike obviously is taking this and running with it. For those of you who look like you've got uh-oh in your eyes, how can you start small and combine the two? 8 minutes. Who else here? I see that Adidas has masks. good ones, but you can't find them to buy. They're sold out. Thank you, Mike. That was great. Again, MDOE website. Thank you, Becky. Anyone else? We have about 7 minutes. So
I saw Brian Kelly had his hand up.
Thank you, Brian. You have to unmute, Brian.
Yeah, sorry, my little mouse thing disappeared and I couldn't find it. Okay. Yeah, I'm actually feeling pretty good about what we're doing after hearing from a lot of other people. We've got one group of kids will be in school Monday, Wednesday, Friday, the other group Tuesday and Thursday, and then the next week it will be the opposite. We're getting a little bit of different messages about remote kids, ranging from there's no remote PE to there are going to be things we have to do. So just saying that as far as what you do with kids, I just think that the more enthusiasm you can show for stuff that and the more creative you can get and trying different things, and it's a chance to, I mean, I've been doing this a long time. This is actually this is going to be my last year. I'm kind of excited about some of the possibilities of things to do and trying things out, and just not having too much pressure on yourself, like this has got to be perfect or whatever. You'll make mistakes, you'll learn, but sometimes you can come up with some great activity. I mean, I just think of when I was doing the Zoom lessons with kids, one day something that just occurred to me. I'm going to do something where each of the letters in PE class, we're going to say, what letter is the first letter P? Okay, everybody, what can you think of a physical activity that starts with the letter P? And some kid says push-ups, and or whatever, and just crazy little things that just come up off the top of your head. I'm going to use a lot of cones and spots and things outside, and things with the different colored cones and spots, and I like all these ideas about stations and stuff. And I guess I'm just we don't be too hard on ourselves and just try to have fun with the kids, and especially the littlest kids. They're going to have fun whatever you do out there. Kindergarten kids aren't going to know any different because they've never had anything anyway. So, yeah, 5th grade will be more challenging, but just do the best we can.
Yeah, thank you, Brian. I think we have to concentrate on social emotional health. I think that you're right. You have to think outside the box. I think we're all pretty professional in what we're going to be doing, but we do have to focus on the whole kid, and don't forget ourselves. You're right, Mike. It's a long day outside and a lot of new expectations. We may be running back and forth. So maybe we need to stop and say bathroom break before we go out, period. Unless it's an emergency, we're not going in for bathroom, everybody. I mean, I think that there have to be some protocols in place, and that will take some time. Hey, Becky, thank you so much. Becky Belmore has been putting some great chat in info from the MDOE. She's got a link out there, and Keith has put a link in there for islands, your island list, and I thank you for that. There's a lot of information on that MDOE. We have
Keith,
about 5 minutes. Becky?
Just real quick, Keith, can you just change your setting to allow access for that document?
Thanks, Keith. Thanks, Becky.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Emily?
Well, I was just curious, and I know we only have a couple minutes, so it might be opening up a can we're not ready for, but Kim kind of put it in the comments. What are teachers doing about recess? Are they coming to you guys and asking for ideas, or is it not even being thought about as to what they're going to do and how they're going to follow guidelines? I do notice the discrepancies between recess and physical education, which is a little disheartening, but just wondering what's going on with that.
We're not calling it recess. We're calling it movement breaks, and actually it's going to be a mask break. The kids aren't going to be moving and running like they're used to. It's going to be pretty much getting outside and staying far apart. That's what Brunswick's doing. Anybody else as far as so-called recess. I would recommend renaming it. Monica?
We're having 7 zones, so in one day, you know, that one cohort will be there and they got to stay in that zone. Of course, the 14 feet has changed things a little bit, but the gym is going to be included. So each day they'll have no overlaps in those areas that they're going to be playing in, but they're probably going to have to keep their masks on now.
Wes, you had your hand up.
Yeah, just really quick. People have been talking about some online stuff for those people that are completely remote, and I could not recommend Flipgrid highly enough. It really allowed me to stay connected to my students last year. It is very user friendly. I set it up in a 4-5 and then a 6-8 fashion. And really, I was just trying to get kids to show themselves doing anything active, whether it was TikTok dances, whether it was like a push-up challenge, anything, just to kind of create an online community where kids were still interacting. And I wish I got more participation, but I definitely did get some participation. Some kids really bought into it, and it was really the only way that I could really feel like I was interacting with my kids. So if you're totally remote, I highly recommend looking into Flipgrid. Just make sure you set the settings so that kids can do a 10-minute video. That's the max length video. And if you want to do like online fitness stuff where you're demonstrating a fitness challenge, and then because I know our district is now saying that if we go remote, we need to be stricter about the grading. You can have a kid do a 10-minute fitness session that you can then, you know, faithfully actually give a mark for. So Flipgrid, if you haven't tried it, use it. It's user friendly and it's really, really good.
Thanks, Wes. We have 2 minutes. Jamie, your hand was up, and Becky, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
So I was just going to speak to recess. So pretty much every plot of land at our school has been spoken for because we have, you know, zoned it off, but we've also been told that those areas, those zones can be used for that classroom to do outside learning so that they can have more mask breaks. So, you know, that was another issue that I had brought up with, well, if, you know, this class is outside learning as well, like, where am I going to do PE? You know, so it's, you know, it's one of those things that in retrospect, I guess remote learning is all I had left. So, you know, so yeah, and I've been on the COVID committee for that. And once I saw how they were like cutting and cropping and coning off, and I'm like, okay, there's nothing left. So that's how we're dealing with it. And I, you know, having worked at a summer camp and am flabbergasted at the rules around masks, like, I think it's too complicated. I think they're going to run into issues. And I think it's crazy that in PE they have to wear it, but at recess they're expecting kids to stay 14 feet apart or during this mask break. I wish I could be there to laugh at it because I don't see it happening.
Becky, did you want to add something?
I did just want to add for those that are remote, and if you hadn't been participating in the sessions all last spring and early summer, Susan and Jean have organized all of those resources. You know, there's a link that I did share in the chat, and I believe they've gone through all of that. And Jean, you might be able to attest to it. And organized kind of by topic, and there's a lot of those sessions that have been recorded. So if you see topics that you might be interested in, there's that great list of resources all compiled from many of you all from last spring too. I would definitely recommend scrolling through those. You might find something helpful there. And then there's always YouTube.
Yeah, there is so much information available. So yeah, it's a great thing to check out.
Okay, I'm looking at the time.
So last question, one question from me.
Yes.
I did post it in the chat, but I don't have a gym available. The gym's been turned into 2 classrooms. A new one is being built, but it won't be ready until Halloween. So on the rainy days, you know, can we teach remotely? But I guess we still have to cover those classes. So I don't see how that's going to work out very well. Does anyone have ideas about rainy day outdoor?
You'll probably be teaching in their classroom. You're not allowed to go into their own classroom to teach?
Possibly. I'm just doing everything as distant as I can to avoid risk.
Yep.
Bus?
Yeah, I know that my principal has told me I'm outdoors, rain or shine. That's part of my day one unpacking that I'm gonna have to do to really drive home the point to kids that we're gonna be outside, man, and you need to come prepared. You need to have the right gear, possibly a change of clothes, because basically, like our band and music program has basically been shut down because the kids emote when they sing. So they basically shut down the normal band and music program, and doing fitness in the classroom, they don't feel that that is safe. So I'm outside, you know what I mean? That's just the way it is.
Lynn, we do have to wrap this up. We have high school phys ed teachers coming in next. I hope everybody had an opportunity to get something here. You did a lot of great sharing. And we can chat about it as far as wanting to do this again as we're going through this process of getting you all back in school. So thank you for joining us this morning. We will record this and we will get it posted so you can get everything that was in the chat. But we do need to end this one so that we can get started with the high school physical education teachers. So thank you. Have a great day. Keep doing the work you're doing.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Becky.
Thanks, guys.